Most houses don't breathe, but this one did. It exhaled when I stepped inside, slow, heavy, like it had been holding its breath for years, waiting for someone like me to return. My name is Rafe Quinn, detective, investigator, and in the next hour, I'm going to show you a case that nearly broke the part of my brain that still believes in rules. A handwritten letter arrived at my office 2 nights ago. No return address, no signature. Just one sentence on the front. She is trapped in the reflection. Please come before it learns her face. Inside was an old photograph. A grandmother, smiling, warm, and behind her, faint, distorted, a shape standing in the hallway that did not belong in this world. I should have thrown the letter away, but I didn't, because tucked inside was another piece of evidence, a house key, wrapped in cloth, cold to cold. The address scribbled on the back of the photo matched a farmhouse I'd visited once before, for a missing persons case that ended with more questions than answers. So I drove there, middle of the night, rain cutting through the windshield like broken glass. Something in my gut tightening with every mile. When I arrived, the front door was already cracked open, just enough for a man to enter, but not enough for him to leave. I pushed it wider and stepped inside. The air changed. Gravity felt heavier. Shadows stretched too far, deeper than the corners that cast them. And then I heard it, a soft, trembling voice from somewhere upstairs. Detective Quinn, are you really here? Not fear, not desperation, hope. And that's when I knew Simone in this house needed saving. Simone else needed feeding. And I was the only one who didn't realize which one I was. The voice came again, softer this time. Detective, please hurry. I followed the sound up the old staircase. Each step groaned, like it resented, carrying my weight. Halfway up, I noticed something strange. The photographs along the wall. Every picture frame was empty. Glass removed, photos taken out. But behind the glass, faint outlines remained. Faces blurred, like someone erased them, but couldn't erase the memory entirely. At the top of the stairs, the hallway stretched impossibly long, longer than it should have been. Like the house was rearranging itself around my presence. A door at the very end creaked. I stepped forward, but the air grew thick. Every breath felt like inhaling, dust made of old memories. When I reached the door, something tugged hard at my attention. A mirror on the wall, covered with heavy fabric. The fabric moved, not from wind, from something behind it. I reached out, pulled the cloth away. Behind it was a mirror, but it did not show me. It showed a room I wasn't standing in, a room filled with furniture from decades ago, dust-free, clean, lived in, and in the center of that reflection, a woman tied to a chair. Her eyes found mine instantly. No time, break it now. But before I could react, the reflection rippled. Her face twisted into panic. She pointed violently behind me. I turned. The door I had closed moments ago was now wide open, and something was standing in the gap, bent at the joints, head tilted too far to one side, watching, learning my shape. She stepped into the hallway slowly, deliberately gray hair, house slippers, a nightgown that dragged across the floor. She looked like a grandmother, but her movements, her timing, her posture, they belonged to something that had observed humanity, but never lived it. Her head twitched. "You came back," she whispered. "I've never been here," I replied. Her smile stretched too wide. "You will be." She started walking toward me, but the footsteps didn't match her strides, like they were coming from the walls instead of her feet. "Where is the boy?" I asked. She blinked slowly, delayed, as if the question had to travel through layers of imitation. He is learning, she said, learning to stay. And then she reached out, her hand bending at an angle that skin shouldn't allow. I stepped back. The mirror behind me flickered. In the reflection, the house looked normal, real, untwisted. Behind the reflection, version of me stood the real grandmother, tied to the chair, bleeding desperate. Her lips moved again. Help me. Then the imposter snapped her head toward the mirror. Her face didn't change expression, but her body recoiled like the reflection was poison. You shouldn't show me that, she hissed. It remembers. What remembers? Before I could answer, she lunged with inhuman speed. I dodged, grabbed the mirror off the wall, and she screamed. No sound, just a pressure wave that made the hallway warp. When she fell back into the shadows, the wall straightened again, and a child's voice whispered behind me, Detective, she knows you now. He looked about 16, pale, shaking, terrified. I hid when she changed, he whispered. That's when she doesn't move right. What is it? I asked. He shook his head. It's not her. It wears her face only when it wants something. Which is, he swallowed to replace someone. As he spoke, lights flickered overhead. The hallway stretched and shrank like the house was breathing. Why me? I asked. The boy hesitated. You were here before. No, I said. I wasn't. He looked confused. But she said you were in the echoes. Before I could press him, a loud crack tore through the walls. The boy froze. She's splitting the rooms, he whispered. She's trying to trap us in the wrong one. I looked into the mirror again. The real grandmother was growing weaker, head dropping. She mouthed one word. Cellar. I grabbed the boy's hand. We run now, but the house shifted again. Doors rearranging themselves, staircases bending, hallways multiplying. She won't let us leave, the boy said. Not until she knows which one of us she wants. And what does she want? I asked. His answer chilled me. A replacement. The boy and I pushed toward the cellar door, the only place the reflection pointed us. When I grabbed the knob, the metal felt warm, olive, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Don't open it yet, the boy whispered. It listens. Listens. I pressed my ear to the wood, breathing slow, measured. As if something massive was waiting on the other side, I tightened my grip, stay behind me. We stepped inside. The cellar was impossibly large, bigger than the foundation of the farmhouse. Shelves stretched endlessly. Shadows moved where my flashlight didn't. And in the far corner, a chair. Same as the reflection, same rope, same position. Empty now, but recently used. She's down here, I said softly. No, the boy whispered, pointing at the shadows. She's everywhere down here. And he was right. The darkness shifted, taking shape. Something crawling along the ceiling. Something wearing a woman's outline, but stretched wrong. Like wax melting upward instead of down. Detective, it whispered, voice echoing from every wall. Who do you think you are in my house? I held up the mirror. The reflection showed the real cellar, smaller, normal, human. And in that reflection, the real grandmother looked right at me. Break the echo, she mouthed. Only then you can free us. What echo? I whispered. The boy tugged my sleeve. The house, he said. It's not haunted, it's duplicated. Behind us, the creature dropped from the ceiling, landing silently, and the cellar doors slammed shut. The cellar doors slammed with a force that shook dust from the beams above us. The boy clung to my arm. trembling violently, and I steadied him with one hand while lifting the mirror with the other. The creature's silhouette stood just beyond the flashlight's reach, its joints bent inward, as if its bones were arranged in the wrong order. When it breathed, the sound echoed a half-second late, like the house itself was repeating it. "Why do you hide behind reflections, detective?" Its voice overlapped two tones, one elderly and fragile, and one deep, hollow, inhuman. The boy whispered, "Don't answer it. It learns from what you say." I stepped backward, keeping the mirror pointed directly at the creature. The reflection showed the real cellar, a small, ordinary basement, safe, still, untouched. And the real grandmother, tied to her chair, shaking her head frantically, as if warning us. "Don't let it mimic you." The creature stepped forward, dragging a distorted shadow behind him. "I only want what was stolen," it hissed. "A face, a name, a place to stand in the world. What does that mean?" I asked. Its smile grew too wide. "The house remembers everything that enters, but it keeps only what it likes." The boy tugged me again. "Detective, it doesn't hunt us, it hunts identity." Suddenly, the shelves around us groaned. Old objects began to fall, tools, jars, boxes. But they didn't hit the floor. They froze in midair, suspended like puppets waiting for a command. The creature stretched its hand toward them. Instantly, the frozen objects rearranged themselves into a human shape. A face, my face. The cellar walls pulsed, the air tightened. "It already knows you," the boy whispered in horror. "It's building you." The creature tilted its head. "Every visitor leaves an echo. Rafe, I just need one last piece." Its hand reached for my throat. I raised the mirror. The reflection shuddered, and the fake version of me collapsed into dust. The creature recoiled, shrieking without sound. "You break too easily," it whispered. But that only makes the echo stronger. And the ground beneath us began splitting open. The floor cracked open like dry earth. Light poured from the gaps, not warm light, not flame, but a pale, hollow glow that pulsed like a dying heartbeat. "Detective," the boy gasped, "the house is splitting realities again." I pulled him backward as the boards beneath us curled upward like hungry tongues. The creature moved with them, its body flickering between forms, trying on different faces like masks. The boy's voice cracked. "Don't look at its eyes. It uses recognition to copy you." But it was too late. The creature had stopped shifting. It had chosen a shape. Mine, the creature stepped out of the warping shadows wearing my face, my expression, my stance. But its version of me was wrong. The eyes didn't blink. The smile was too steady. Its shadow pointed the wrong direction. "What are you?" I demanded. It answered in my voice, but deeper, older, broken. "I am your echo, the version the house preferred." The boy screamed. "That's not you. That's what it wants to replace you with." Your reality twisted again. The cellar and the mirror reflected stability. The real grandmother was crying, shaking her head violently. Pleading, she mouthed, "Don't let it finish copying you." The creature lunged. I grabbed the boy and yanked him clear as the false version of me smashed into the shelves, splintering wood. The boy gasped for breath. What do we do? I stared into the mirror, into a real attic, visible behind the grandmother. "Upstairs," I said. "We go to the attic. Whatever's controlling this house, that's where it is." The boy wiped tears from his face. "What if she follows us?" I stepped closer to the creature as it twisted back into the darkness. "She already is." The cellar collapsed inward. the floor folding like pages in a book. We ran up the stairs, through the shifting hallway, past doors rearranging themselves into new shapes. Behind us, the creature whispered with my voice, "Rafe, are you sure you're the original?" We burst into the hallway, and the moment our feet touched the floorboards, the entire corridor rearranged. Dozens of doors appeared on both sides. Some tall, some tiny, some crooked, some breathing. The boy clutched my sleeve. "She's splitting memories. Each door is a different version of the house. How do we find the right one?" He looked terrified. "We don't. The house finds us." Every door began to whisper. Soft voices, different tones. Some sounded like the grandmother. Some like children, some like me. The boy covered his ears. "They're trying to confuse us." One door creaked open on its own. Inside was a kitchen, but not this one. A version from decades ago. Bright, lively, warm. At the table sat the grandmother, alive and well laughing, as a young boy ran circles around her. The boy beside me froze. That's me. When I was little. "Don't go in," I warned. "I know," he whispered, "but it feels real. That's the trap." Suddenly the reflection in the mirror began flickering violently. The real grandmother appeared, eyes wide, frantic. She mouthed, "Attic, clock, don't trust the stairs." Then the mirror cracked slightly. The boy grabbed my wrist. "Detective, look." Another door opened slowly, not into a room, but into darkness. Pure black. No floor. No ceiling. Just a void. Out of that void, something crawled. A hand first. Too long, too thin. Then a second. Then a face, wearing my features. The creature was merging with the echo hallway, learning faster. I pulled the boy behind me. We don't stop. We don't look. We move. The hallway pulsed like a lung. And the creature whispered from the void, "Rafe, you're walking through my memories now." We reached the end of the hallway, a single staircase, spiraling upward. But something was wrong. The steps bent slightly downward, as if gravity was confused. As if the stairs themselves were reluctant to hold us. The boy hesitated. "Detective, the grandmother said not to trust the stairs. She also said the attic holds the truth." I tested the first step. It sank an inch, soft like flesh instead of wood. "Number not normal. We don't use the stairs," I said. "We find another way up." The ceiling above us bent. Not sagged, bent, lowering itself like the house wanted to listen in. Suddenly, the creature's voice echoed behind us. "You can't climb out of a memory, Rafe. You drown in it." Doors began to slam open in the hallway. Faces appeared inside them. Some resembled the boy. Some resembled the grandmother. Some resembled me. Echoes, copies, imitations the house was trying to decide which version it wanted to keep. "Detective," the boy cried, pointing upward. The attic door flickered, not fully visible, but glitching like a bad signal. A ladder descended from it, not a staircase. A ladder, wooden, old, but stable. "Is it safe?" the boy asked. "No idea," I said, "but it's the only thing that hasn't lied yet." We climbed. Each rung creaked like a bone under pressure. Halfway up, a hand grabbed my ankle. I looked down. The creature was climbing after us, but not like a human. It moved vertically, sideways, backwards, as if gravity didn't apply. "Rafe," it whispered, using my exact voice. "If I reach you, the house will choose me." I kicked hard, breaking its grip. The attic hatch opened, blinding white light pouring out. We pulled ourselves inside. and the hatch slammed shut behind us. The attic was silent, too silent. As if the sound had been removed from the air, dust floated in perfect stillness. Furniture sat frozen, untouched. A grandfather clock stood in the center, tall, elegant, polished. It was the only object not covered in dust. The boy whispered, "Detective." The grandmother said, "Clock." I approached it slowly. The hands weren't moving. They hovered between seconds. Caught in a moment the house refused to let pass. A photograph rested against the base of the clock. It showed the grandmother, the boy as a toddler, and me standing beside them. Smiling, I staggered back. "That's impossible," I muttered. The boy looked at me, eyes wide. "She said you were in the echoes. She meant the house copied you long ago." The clock chimed suddenly, one deep, resonant strike. The floor rippled. The walls bent inward, and the creature's voice drifted up from below. "You were always meant to return, Rafe. Your echo waited for you." The boy pointed at the reflection inside the clock's glass. "Detective, look." Inside the reflection was the real grandmother, standing free, trembling, pointing at the gears inside the clock. Break the gears, break the cycle, break the echo. Suddenly the attic door behind us cracked violently. A pale hand slipped through. The creature rasped, "Come now, Rafe. Let me finish what your reflection started." I gripped the clock with both hands and swung. The clock cracked under my first strike, dust exploding from its seams, like the attic itself coughed. The boy jumped back as gears rattled across the floor. The clock hands spun wildly, blurring into a circle of gold. Below us, the creature shrieked, not through the wood, through the beams, through the bones of the house. "It's working," the boy shouted. The reflection inside the clock's glass changed violently. The real grandmother was no longer bound. She was standing behind a doorway in the reflection, reaching out for us, her hand trembling. "Break them all," she mouthed. "Reset the echo." I lifted the mirror shard to see the reflection clearly, but the shard flickered, unstable, fracturing at the edges. The house didn't like this. The house depended on repetition. I swung again. The clock splintered. A final chime erupted, so deep it shook my ribs for a moment. Everything froze. Then the attic warped, floorboards twisted. Walls stretched into angles that didn't belong in Euclidean space. The temperature dropped sharply. The boy grabbed my coat. "Detective, I don't think we're alone up here anymore." He was right. The creature was ascending the walls like a spider, moving toward us in perfect silence. Each limb bent the wrong direction. Its face flickered between my face, the grandmother's, and several faces I didn't recognize. Echoed. "Failed copies. Stopping the clock doesn't save you," it whispered. "Breaking it only wakes the ones before you." The attic floor trembled. Dust spiraled upward, like the room inhaled. Behind me in the reflection, the grandmother pointed down, toward the attic floorboards. Under the clock's base, a hatch I hadn't noticed before. A second attic, layered beneath the first, hidden between realities. "Detective," the boy yelled. "It's coming." The creature lunged. I kicked the hatch open, and the two of us dropped into darkness. We fell only a few feet before landing on something soft. But not fabric, not dust. It felt warm, like breathing wood. The boy scrambled up, terrified. "Detective, where are we?" We were in a crawl space between the real attic and whatever the echo attic had become. A narrow, endless tunnel of warped beams and splintered insulation. The air was sick with a low hum, a vibration I felt in my teeth. Every surface pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. "This is wrong," the boy whispered. "Houses don't have spaces like this." "This one does," I said, helping him up. "This is where the house stores its echoes." Scattered through the tight corridor were objects, children's toys, rusty tools, shoes, hairbrushes, jars with names scratched into their lids. All belongings, all from people the house had copied. The boy covered his mouth. "It takes people," he whispered, "and then it shelves their memories." We crawled forward, the tunnel tightening. The mirror shard pulsed with warmth in my hand, almost like it was guiding us. Suddenly, the tunnel expanded into a small chamber. Inside were dozens of mirror fragments, arranged in a circle. All shattered, all humming with faint light, and in the center, a pedestal with a single intact mirror. The reflection inside wasn't ours. It showed a room below, a normal basement, and the grandmother pounding desperately on the inside of a wall. "She's still alive," I said. "We're close." Then the whisper came, soft, velvety, coiled with hunger. "You're in my ribs now, Rafe." The creature crawled into the chamber from behind us, its limbs folding inward and outward simultaneously. Its face now an empty swirl of features, like wet paint smeared on glass. It tilted its head. "Why run, detective? You brought such a lovely echo with you." It meant the boy. No, it meant me. My stolen face. My stolen identity. The creature lunged. The chamber shook. I grabbed the intact mirror, and the world inverted. The moment I touched the intact mirror, reality ripped sideways, my vision blurred. The chamber dissolved. Colors ran like wet ink. I felt the boy's hand gripping mine, but his voice sounded far away, as if underwater, when the world reformed. We weren't in the echo chamber anymore. We were standing in the basement from the reflection, the real basement. Dim lights flickered, concrete cold beneath my boots. A washer and dryer hummed faintly, and in the corner, the real grandmother, slumped against the wall, breathing hard. She looked up, her face softened with relief. "You made it," she whispered. "Before it replaced you." I knelt beside her. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" "Only tired," she said weakly. "Tired of fighting something that doesn't understand what humans are." The boy hugged her, crying quietly. "We're getting you out," I said. But she shook her head sharply. "Not yet. You have to end it. Detective." "End what?" She pointed to the basement wall. Behind there, the heart of the echo. The mirror in my hand flickered, showing the wall glowing softly in the reflection. The echo basement shimmered through its surface, warped walls, hanging ropes, shadows that pulsed. "It's layered," I said, "2 basements at once." The grandmother nodded. The house grew around an empty space, a place that wanted to be real. It needed a shape, a mind, a face. "And it chose you?" I asked. "No," she whispered. "It chose anyone. But you were the only one who came back twice." "The photograph, my face beside them." "Detective," the boy said, eyes widening. Behind us, the mirror began warping, the creature pushing through the surface, like tar forcing through a crack. Its voice spilled into the basement. "Rafe, you're home." I positioned myself in front of the grandmother and boy. "It's time to end this," she whispered. And the wall behind me began to breathe. The basement wall pulsed like living flesh. The breathing sound grew heavier, a deep, resonant exhale that made dust swirl at our feet. The boy grabbed my coat. "Detective, That's where it's coming from. Behind us, the creature forced its head through the mirror. Glass cracked around its skull as it pushed deeper, limbs stretching through the frame like someone squeezing through a too small doorway. Do not let it touch you, the grandmother warned. It only needs a moment of skin to finish copying. The mirror exploded, shards flew. The creature landed on the concrete, silently. It stood upright, wearing my face perfectly now. Every detail, every scar, every line. Except one thing, its eyes were too still. It moved toward me. You are almost complete, it said. Once I take your place outside this house, I will finally exist. I stepped between it and the boy. You'll never be me, it smiled with my teeth. I already am, the grandmother shouted. The wall, Rafe, destroy the wall. The boy pulled me toward the pulsing concrete. How do we break it? The grandmother pointed at the pieces of mirror on the floor. It hates its true form. The creature lunged. I grabbed the largest shard, angled it toward the wall, and for the first time I saw what lived inside it. A mass of writhing limbs, faces layered atop faces, all whispering fragments of memories. A creature made from stolen identities, trapped between realities, hungry for existence. The wall screamed. The creature staggered back, clutching its head. Stop, it roared, voice breaking between mine and dozens of others. You will kill us both, the grandmother shouted. He's lying. I didn't hesitate. I drove the mirror shard directly into the wall. The wall ruptured like a bursting lung. Light flooded the basement. White, blinding, furious. The creature shrieked as reality peeled off its stolen face. No, I am real. It lunged at me with claws of twisting bone, but the light dragged pieces of it backward, pulling it apart layer by layer. The grandmother shielded the boy's eyes. Don't look, echoes die loudly. The house groaned, floorboards snapped overhead, pipes burst, dust rained down. The creature stumbled toward me, half its face melting into static. Rafe, don't leave me unfinished. You were never meant to exist, I said. And with the last surge of strength, I slammed the mirror shard deeper into the exposed heart behind the wall. A boom shook the entire house. The creature convulsed violently, shattered fragments of its stolen identities, blowing outward like glass. Its final scream wasn't angry. It was lonely. And then it disintegrated into white dust. The walls bent inward. The basement ceiling collapsed. I grabbed the grandmother and boy, pulling them toward the stairs. Move, I yelled. We sprinted as the house folded in on itself, hallways twisting, rooms collapsing into flat plains, doors falling like dying leaves. The boy screamed. It's trying to take us with it. No, I shouted. It's trying to erase the memory of us. We burst toward the front entrance, a doorway that flickered between open and sealed. The grandmother threw herself against it. The boy pushed. I slammed my shoulder into it. Together, we broke through, and the moment our feet hit the grass, the house behind us collapsed into dust. Not rubble, not flames. Dust, like it had never been built, like it had never allowed itself to exist at all. The dust settled slowly, drifting across the field like ash from a dying star. Where the house once stood was nothing, not rubble, not foundation, not a single scrap of wood, just an empty, circular imprint on the earth. The boy stared in disbelief. It's gone, he whispered. The grandmother leaned heavily on my arm. No, she said quietly. It's hiding. Echoes don't die. They retreat. I scanned the tree line. Everything felt too still, too quiet, no birds. No wind, like the world itself was holding its breath again. Detective Quinn, the grandmother murmured, you destroyed its heart, but the echo left behind fragments. What kind of fragments? Pieces of you, pieces of us. Memories it stole, but couldn't digest. She lifted a trembling hand and pointed at the sky. Clouds twisted slightly, like something invisible was folding them. The boy gasped. Is it coming back? No, I said, but it wants to. The grandmother squeezed my hand. Listen carefully, Rafe. You weren't chosen randomly. It took interest in you long before tonight. I frowned. What do you mean? She reached into her pocket and pulled out a photograph. The same one I'd received in the letter. Only this version had someone else in it. Me, standing behind a younger grandmother, hand on her shoulder. My blood ran cold. This isn't possible, I whispered. It is, she said. The house showed me this years ago. Told me you would come. Told me you had already been here. I stepped back. Ma'am, I don't remember ever meeting you. I know, she replied softly. That's why it shows you. You're missing something. A memory the house took long before tonight. The boy looked at me, confused. What does that mean? I swallowed hard. It means I looked again at the imprint where the house had stood. This isn't the end. Behind us, the ground trembled. Just once. A soft reminder, like an exhale. We walked to the car in silence, the grandmother leaning on my arm, the boy watching the empty lot behind us, like it might inhale again. Just before we reached the road, the grandmother paused. Ref, let me show you what it took. Her voice trembled, not in fear, but exhaustion. She lifted her sleeve. Underneath were faint impressions, shapes etched into her skin. Not cuts, not bruises, fingerprints. As if dozens of hands had tried to pull her into the walls. I clenched my jaw. Why didn't it succeed? Because you arrived twice. I keep hearing that, I said. But I only remember coming here tonight. That's the memory it took, she whispered. It kept the first visit for itself. The boy stepped closer. What happened the first time? She exhaled slowly. You came here years ago investigating a missing persons case. A boy who vanished after playing near the house. A sharp chill needled down my spine. I worked dozens of missing cases, but none around here. Yes, she said. And that's why it worked. You forgot. The house didn't want you to leave with your own mind, so it kept a piece of it. A piece it used to build your echo. My chest tightened violently. Are you saying? The creature wasn't just copying me. It was piecing together the version of me that it stole. She nodded. And when you broke the echo, you broke what it took from you. The boy looked confused. So, is Detective Quinn the real one? I opened my mouth, but nothing came out because I didn't know the answer. Then the grandmother gently touched my shoulder. Her voice softened. You are real, Rafe, but something inside you is missing. Something the house still holds on to. I stared at the empty field. What did it keep? I whispered. She looked away. That I cannot see, but I felt it. A hollow place inside my own memory, a door I couldn't open. Not yet. We made it to my car just as the last of the dust settled back into the earth. The grandmother leaned into the back seat, exhausted. The boy slumped beside her, still gripping her hand tightly. I slid behind the wheel, but before starting the engine, I checked the rearview mirror. Both of them were there, breathing, alive. Then another shape appeared, a flicker of movement in the field behind us. Too tall, too thin, still watching. Detective, the boy whispered. Behind us. I see it. But when I blinked, the shape vanished, leaving only the faint shimmer of heat above the field. That's just leftover echo, The grandmother said carefully, "A memory untethered, dangerous only if we let it grow." I put the car in gear. "We're getting you both somewhere safe." But the grandmother grabbed my arm. "No, Rafe. Safe doesn't exist for people like us anymore. The house touched you. It touched him. It touched me. Echoes cling to those who survive them." "What happens now?" the boy asked. She looked at me with eyes heavy with knowledge. "Now, detective, you have to find the others." "What others?" "The ones it copied before us, the ones it replaced, the ones who never escaped." My heart sank. "You're saying this wasn't the first house?" She shook her head. "Echoes always start somewhere. This was only a branch, a small version of something older." The boy swallowed. "Then where do we go?" I stared at the road ahead, a long stretch leading away from the ruins. "We start with the letter," I said. "The one that brought me here." The grandmother tensed. "Rough. Who do you think wrote it?" I looked at the envelope again. Blank. No return address. No fingerprints. Only a single sentence. "Come before it learns her face." And suddenly it clicked. The handwriting. It looked like mine, but not quite. I pulled the letter from my coat pocket. Even holding it felt wrong. The paper was slightly too warm, like it remembered being touched by something that wasn't me. The grandmother watched carefully. "Show me the handwriting." I unfolded the letter and held it under the dome light. Her expression darkened. "That's your hand, but not your writing." "What does that mean?" the boy asked. "It means," she said quietly, "the echo version of Detective Quinn sent him here." A chill ripped through me. My echo, the creature wearing my face, had wanted me here. "Why would it bring me?" I muttered. The grandmother swallowed hard. "Because it needed you to finish its memory. It needed the original to complete the copy." The boy shivered. "So if Detective Quinn didn't come, then the creature would have stayed incomplete." "Yes," she said, "and it would have found another path to existence, another house, another host." I stared at the words again. "Come before it learns her face." "My echo wrote that to lure me here," I said. "Not lure," the grandmother corrected. "Challenge. Echoes don't understand danger. Only mirrors. It wanted you to see yourself, to see what it made." I felt sick. My own reflection had called me. My own stolen identity had wanted me to confront it, destroy it, finish what it couldn't. "But why?" the grandmother whispered. "Because echoes don't want to exist alone. They want a world where people mirror them, a world of copies." And I stopped that. She nodded. "For now." Suddenly, the rearview mirror flickered. Just once, a flash of static. The boy whispered, "Detective, something's behind us." I turned slowly. Out in the empty field, a single door stood upright, not attached to anything. Just a doorframe. And behind its cracked surface, I saw movement. A hand, a face, a version of me, unfinished, broken, reaching through the crack. The grandmother gasped. "It's not over. Some echoes survive the collapse." The door creaked, and the thing behind it whispered, "Rafe, you forgot something." The door in the field began to shake, not from wind, but from something pushing against it with purpose. The boy gripped my shoulder. "Detective, what do we do?" I opened the car door slowly. "We end what's left." The grandmother reached for my hand. "Be careful. Echoes are weaker outside their house, but they're also desperate." I stepped out into the field. Each footfall stirred dust from the collapse. The night was silent, too silent. The doorframe stood crooked, its glass knob vibrating. As I approached, the cracks in the wood deepened. A voice seeped through them. "You broke my body. but not my memory. A single eye peered through the largest crack. My eye, but wrong, unsteady, waiting. "What do you want?" I asked. It whispered, "To go home." "This isn't your home." "It was," it said. "You lived here once. You forgot." I remembered. Pain stabbed through my temple. A flood of fragmented images. Me as a young detective, searching the house years ago, calling out for a missing child. But each memory was incomplete, like pages missing from a book. "How much did you take from me?" I whispered. "Only the parts you didn't hold tightly enough." The door began to split open. I lifted the mirror shard, the one I had kept, cracked but still reflecting truth. The echo recoiled violently. "No, don't show me. Don't make me. You wanted this," I said. "You wanted to be seen." I held the shard steady. In the reflection, the creature wasn't me, not even close. A hollow thing, a mistake of memory, a shadow pretending to be a person. The echo screamed, a soundless blast of hatred, and the door frame collapsed inward, dragging the creature with it. The field went silent again. I stood there, breathing hard. The grandmother stepped out of the car. "Is it done?" I looked at the shattered wood. "For now," I said. "But echoes don't disappear. They look for cracks. They wait." She nodded sadly. "What will you do?" I looked at the mirror shard, the last piece of the house that once tried to replace me. "I'll find the cracks," I said, "and close them." As we drove away, the boy asked, "Detective, will it ever come back?" I stared out the window. "If it does," I said softly, "I'll be ready, because echoes can only copy what stands still, and I'm not standing still anymore."